it's John, your Indian Cinemaniac, with another Indian TV series review. That's right. I'm going to do another review. I'm going to do this one very different than I did Mirzapur for a couple of reasons. One, you guys aren't really watching those, and I did hear someone reached out to me and told me that one of the reasons may be that it's exam time in India. And obviously, I've seen enough movies about the exams. I know how hard they are, and I know how hard you guys study. So that's why I've kind of delayed putting this one out to give. I don't know how long the time period is, but hopefully you guys are studying. Hopefully you're going to do well on those exams. I do not want to be the reason why you don't do well. Okay, so I just want you to know that. And again, I'm not getting a lot of hits. I tried to do a couple episodes at a time. I'm not going to do that with this one. I'm going to do entire season one. So the show that I watched based on recommendations is 2017, 2019's Sacred Games, which the season one was co-directed by Anurag Kashyap, who did Gangs of Wasseypur and Ugly, and Vikramaditya Motwain. Vikramaditya Motwain. I don't know if that's right. So I watched season one, then I did research on it, like I always do. And what I found out was this. Oh, I have to say this. I'm going to spoil the crap out of this show. Okay. So if you haven't seen the show, do not watch this because this is going to be a spoiler filled review and recap. Okay. Just so you know. So the story is parallel storytelling of the two lead characters. Each director directed one of the parallel stories, which makes sense to me because you could tell the look of it was different and you could tell it was directed differently, which I think helped this movie a lot. So, right out of the gate, let me tell you, I really enjoyed season one. It was way different than Mirzapur. In fact, I would call it a slow burn. The pace of it is so different than Mirzapur. I didn't mind it. Now there were times where it dragged a little bit, but the tension. In fact, I think I watched all 8 episodes in 3 nights. That's what I did. I watched them in 3 nights. So this had me hooked. Um, and I have to let's see. Where's my? I created a sheet. Oh yeah, there's my sheet of who the players are. Because that gets very confusing in this because this show jumps around timelines. But it stars. Look, the main leads are Saif Ali Khan, who plays Inspector Sartaj, who I've seen in a couple of things, and Nawazuddin Siddiqui, who plays Ganesh. Everyone's got two names too, which adds to the confusion. Also, Gaitonde. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Now, what's funny about him? I've never I saw him in Gangs of Wasseypur, and I just saw him in Kahani, which I think it was is that's the movie that really propelled him into lead roles. But it's their story, and it is a parallel story, which I didn't know. In fact, when the show started, and I'm watching it, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give highlights from each episode, just a couple of bullet points. Okay, I'm not going to recap it, but the first episode, you're introduced to the main characters, right? So Saif plays a character, Inspector Sarjat. Well, right away you find out he can't sleep. He's overweight, and Saif Ali Khan, who I just saw in a movie with Vijay Devgan, um, he where he's ripped. In this, he's overweight, and it shows in a lot of the scenes when he's running. But he went through something, and you find out that he was part of a police hunt where they shot an unarmed boy, and he had to lie about it, and that plays through the whole thread of the first season. So you find out a lot about him. Okay, so it's and Ganesh is what I thought was, and I don't know if you guys get this show in India, but the Blacklist. Um, that's what it reminded me of, like this boss in a bunker controlling people. Well, I was wrong about that. The Blacklist stars James Spader, by the way, who plays Red Reddington, but he's a criminal who's a mastermind, and that's where I thought this was going. Well, I was dead wrong on that. Look, the show starts off with a massacre at a party. a dog being thrown out a window and landing in front of little kids. And the other thing they do is they put the day on it. It starts off day 25. And how this episode ends and how all the players kind of get together, because you've got the police, you've got Raw, who's tapping everybody's phones, you got the bad guy who reaches out to Sarjat because he there's a connection with him and Sarjat's father, okay, which isn't really explained. And then at the end, that episode ends with they finally meet face to face, and Ganesh kills himself. Boom, that's episode one. That's how it ends. Um, Now, episode two. Now, I got to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. Something bothered me. You guys probably know from the big show more than the 10-ish minute review that I'm a conservative. I'm a right winger, as they call us. So there was a line in there about the dog, and it said the dog looked like Donald Trump. So yeah, I didn't like that. It bothered me, but I persevered and I moved on. My fear was, is there going to be more of this? And I'm happy to say there wasn't. Okay, but when I heard that line, I was like, oh, here we go. But it wasn't. Okay, I just wanted to get that out there. Um, they okay. So I'm sorry. I do want to say one thing about episode one. Ganesh's entrance when you first meet him. He's introduced by following a woman who's dragging herself across the floor, all covered in blood, and he puts a bullet through her head, through her eyes. That's how you meet him. Okay. Also, there's a flashback, and there's a lot of flashbacks in this film. In episode one, there's a flashback where Ganesh's mother and a lover gets killed by a rock bashing their head, and the father gets arrested, and that plays later on. I'll get back to that. Now, episode two. They go to 1984, Bombay cool scene. There's a cool, very cool scene. And look, it's a parallel story about the investigation that Sarjat's doing and Ganesh's rise in the crime world, how he takes down one big boss after another. Well, in the second episode, he takes down a dump a dump magnet, right? Who's got all this power. And there's this great scene where he's sitting on a couch watching the dump burn. It was just a really cool scene. So you see him moving up. Um, that's when you find out about the police. No, that's no, no, no. There's an agent in this, Agent Anjali, a female who was on the wiretap. So now she's a player in this. Okay, you find out her father's been missing for 10 years. She investigates a scene where there was a massacre. Well, that was the opening scene, right? And you find out Mathu, who was part of Ganesh's crew, what was part of that. Uh, and then they show Sartaj's and Anjali's parallel investigation, okay, as they're flipping back and forth. So now part of the investigation leads Sartaj to a room. And again, I'm skipping over. This is just high level bullet points because I want to give an overall flavor of this. Sartaj, now they don't want him. He's suspended. They don't want him investigating because he won't lie about the shooting. But he investigates anyway. And he's working with Raw. Well, he finds a house of the woman who got the bullet through the head by Ganesh with a secret compartment. He opens it up and there's pallets of counterfeit money. That's how that episode ends. Okay. So now the slow burn is building, right? Now, episode three, they got Mathu in the hospital. She wants to question him. There's this beautiful shot of Agent Anjali walking through the hospital, and it's a steady cam, you can tell, and they just follow. It's a one take shot, and there's real tense music too. Um, then Mathu gets killed. Her witness gets killed. You meet Malcolm, who's an assassin, injects something in. Now you're at day 23. Now you get introduced to a TV star who is also a hooker. Beautiful woman, by the way. Now we go back to flashback 1986. Now we learn about Bunty, who's another character we meet that's part of Ganesh's crew. Um, Now here's an interesting thing. You are introduced in this flashback to Cuckoo, who is a dancer at a bar where the big boss in that era hangs out at. Isa is his name. Now the thing about Cuckoo, when I first saw Cuckoo, I thought she was a guy. I thought she was trans because I thought she looked like a guy trying to be a woman. That was my first thought when I saw her. Okay. I'm going to come back to that. Now we're at day 22. Now you find out this TV star is actually a movie star. Her name is Zoya. Um, and now it ends with Agent Anjali gonna meet Bunty because Bunty can point her in the right direction. And then they'll get him out of the country because he's worried about getting killed. That's how that ends. And there's a big nightmare scene too, where Sanjat wakes up and a witness gets killed. Okay, so now we're on episode 4. Um, and he's got this partner. Sargent has a partner, Katkar, not Katkar. Wait a minute, I want to say this right. Constable Katakar, Kataker, Kataker. I guess that's what it's Kataker. Who I like his character. He's funny. He's really the only comic relief in this whole thing. But he's a good guy, and he's got Sargent's back, which really plays important. You know what? I'm not gonna do this way because you guys are bored out of your tears. Let me just tell you overall a couple things about this show. Um, the plot of the show is there's some kind of terrorist plot that's going to happen in 25 days. Sargent has to figure out what it is to prevent it from happening. Okay, that's basically the thread. Now, the raw agent comes into it because, like I said, they were tapping phones earlier, so now they're cross investigating. And what I like about this show, the fact that the lead character Ganesh is only seen in flashbacks, make him more compelling. And he is a great character. You see his pecking up the crime family and getting more powerful and more powerful. He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy. And the only reason why he's doing the stuff he's doing is Sarjat's father showed him kindness when some bad guys were torturing him in prison. And it's brutal. Those scenes are brutal. And they go on and on and on. And Sarjat's father is the only one that shows him any kind of kindness. And that's why he pays Sarjat back, and doesn't want this to happen to his country. So he's a bad character, but he's also got a little nobility to him, which I like. And look, there are scenes. Oh, there are pretty there are pretty interesting sex scenes in this, like Mirzapur, where the women are usually dressed. But I will say, in a couple of the episodes, and I've never seen this in an Indian film or series, they show the bare breast. It's a quick shot. They do it twice, but it's there. So a little different than a lot of the other stuff that I've seen. And the sex stuff is like it's pretty for an Indian film. I would say it's really graphic. But it's also how you find out that Cuckoo is a guy because she will only have sex one way, her on her stomach. And then another guy catches her in the bathroom and she's using a urinal. Now, here's the interesting thing about that because I did think that that was a guy. Well, then I did research like I always do. And I found out that is an actress. It is not an actor. It is not a trans person. It is an actress playing a woman or a guy pretending to be a woman or transitioning to a woman. But I don't know how they did it, but her posture, the way they did the wig, even her shoulders seemed a little like boxier than most women. So that actress, I got to tell you something. I was pretty impressed with that. And that was Cabra Sight is her name, and and she, again, the one thing about this show, you don't know who's going to live and who's going to die. And that's what shocked me about this show because Cuckoo dead. Now I don't know if she committed suicide. I think she committed suicide. I think that's what happened because they show some shards of glass by her, but it was also when people were shooting up the place. Then Ganesh's, I don't know if it was his wife or his girlfriend because I don't remember him getting married. The one wedding, everyone got massacred. So I don't know if they actually ended up getting married, but if they did, it was his wife. She got killed. Then Sarget's partner in a scene, they're just interrogating a bunch of kids. One of them takes out a knife, puts it right in his neck. And that was bittersweet because then they do a flashback scene after that, after he's dead, where Sarget's on the beach talking to him and his family's out there playing on the beach. And it was really sad. Um, so, and then to top it off, Agent Anjali, who you think is going to be a key player in this whole thing, she ends up getting killed. Bullet right through the head. So anything can happen in the show. And the other thing I like that they do with Saif Ali Khan, especially, he's not a superhero. In fact, there are chase scenes where he is huffing and puffing and can't even come close to keeping up with whoever they're running it because he's big. I mean, when I say big, yeah, his arms are big, but he is big. He's got a little bit of a belly. He's a little barrel chested. You could tell he put on weight for this. He's also a Sikh, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. He wears the turban. Um, and then at the end, you find out he the logo of this show is this symbol. Okay. Oh, by the way, so I do this. I'm horrible at this. I shouldn't review TV shows. I'm terrible. I admit it. But the big bad guy is going to be Guruji, who's played by Pankaj Tripathi, who I just saw in Mirzapur, and he's going to play a much bigger role in season two. So he gets introduced a little bit at a time, and then at the end you find out he's the big baddie. Well, at one point, Sartaj goes to this place, a warehouse, and there's the symbol on the floor, and he figures out it's under the floor. Well, he opens it up. There's a hatch. He goes down the hatch, and it's a bunker for radioactive fallout. That's how season one ends. So now I think they're on by the eighth episode. They are on day 14. Let me make sure I got that right. Day 14. Yeah, 14. So that means season three is going to start with that. And I don't know where it's going to go. Now, there was a cop that suspended him, Barukla. Is that his name? Paruklar. Parulkar, who isn't a good guy for most of the show, but ends up saving Sartaj. So I think I've been saying I've been screwing that up too. Sartaj, because there's a scene in a warehouse where Malcolm comes and cuts his thumb off, and it's oh my god. I mean, they show it, and he is screaming. He plays great, and he's got his arms tied to a table, but he shows up and they save his life. And there's a big fight in the warehouse. There's also one scene, I don't remember what episode it is, but this is the filmmaking part of this because it's shot really, really well. And again, they do have very different looks, the parallel stories, the flashbacks and the present stuff. But there's a shootout that, Hollywood always lights things up, right? But this shootout seems more realistic that it's a dark area and all you see is muzzle flashes and it looks really, really cool. So, yeah, I really like this. I'm looking forward to season two. I think there was only two seasons, so I'm gonna watch the second season, and I'll give you a recap and review of that. But I got to tell you something. If I was to rate this series 1 to 10, I think I gave Mirzapur an 8. Um, I think this one's not quite as good. I'm going to give it a 7, but I have to tell you that the tension and the music is really good uh, because it just adds to the tension of the show. And usually I don't like music that is constant, but in this it really fits. So I really like that too. So we'll see what happens with season three. A lot of you people told me that I would like this, and I do. I'm also to be fair, you guys, I'm going to try to watch The Family Man again. I watched 2 episodes of it. I just couldn't get into it. But maybe I'll give it a shot, watch a couple more episodes, see if it gets better. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Um, Again, I'm not very good at doing these episode things. Other people do it so much better. But I will tell you the next film that I'm going to be reviewing for you is actually going to be a 10ish-minute review, and it's based on the community polls we did. And the first question was, give me an SRK film. And you guys picked Devdas, 2003 Devdas. That's the next 10ish-minute review I'm going to do. So look out for that. And I appreciate you guys answering the polls. Also, this week we're going to shoot the big show. We're reviewing Kahani. We're going to also introduce the Wheel of Fate with the 5 top movies that you guys picked off my community poll about the 10ish-minute review movies that you think the entire gang will watch. Now, just so you know, the first film they're going to watch is going to be 12th Fail, and that's not on the wheel. Okay. So these are 5 separate movies from the 12th Fail. That's the next Indian movie we're going to watch after Kahani. Just just to be upfront. Okay. So that's it. That's my review of Sacred Games. Thanks for the recommendation. I really did like that. Very tense. And I can't wait to, in fact, I'm going to start watching the second season tonight. So thanks for watching, everybody. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time. And we'll see you soon with another 10-ish minute review.